Hey guys, tonight we are going to slip quietly into the candlelit bedrooms of the Victorian era, where the battle against sleeplessness was fought with some of the most peculiar tricks you could ever imagine. If you've ever stared at the ceiling at 2 a.m. and wondered whether you should count sheep, let me reassure you. In the 19th century, they took that idea quite literally and then went several steps further. Honestly, you might not have survived one night in their routines without laughing yourself awake. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop me a comment below telling me your city and the time right now. It's always fun to see who's listening from Tokyo at dawn or New York at midnight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You slip out of the heavy curtains of that Victorian bedroom and follow the glow of gas lamps down a quiet street into a small apothecary. The shelves behind the counter are lined with bottles and jars, each neatly labeled opium syrup, laudanum tincture, honey blended with opium. The pharmacist smiles warmly, as if he's offering candy rather than narcotics, and he leans in to assure you, if you've been restless at night, this will help you drift off. In that era, opium was everywhere. It was mixed into cough syrups, pressed into soothing tablets, and even stirred into a cup of evening tea. For Victorians, it wasn't a dangerous drug but a household remedy, a so-called miracle cure. If you had pain, you took opium. If a baby cried too loudly at night, opium calmed them. And if you couldn't sleep, opium was the first thing a doctor would recommend. Historians still debate whether people fully understood its dangers. Some suggest Victorians knew about the risks but chose to look the other way. Others believe they were simply enchanted by how quickly it quieted the mind. Imagine living amid the roar of factories and the rumble of new railways, nerves constantly stretched thin, and then discovering a single spoonful of syrup that could silence it all. It must have felt like pressing mute on the world. On the counter, you notice a small bottle called Godfrey's Cordial, nicknamed the Comforter of Infants. Mothers gave it to crying babies so everyone in the house could sleep. The thought makes you shiver. Today, it would be unthinkable, but back then it was considered an act of care. There were also opium pills, small and dark, promising sweet dreams. Doctors assured patients, take one before bed and you'll rest deeply. Some even claimed it allowed the brain to enter a truer level of sleep, though no one could explain what that meant. Academic journals at the time argued back and forth, half praising it as a medical marvel, half warning of its dangers. In one corner of the shop, a leaflet shows an elegant lady holding a cup of hot chocolate laced with opium. The caption reads, "A comfortable night begins here." To modernize, it looks like an ad for cocoa powder until you notice the ingredients. Writers and poets also glorified it. They described opium as a doorway to dreamlike visions, romanticizing its haze. You can almost picture a sleepless poet sitting by a crackling fire, glass of opium-infused wine in hand, insisting it wasn't poison, but the entrance to inspiration. But the truth was far less charming. Opium rarely gave people true rest. Instead, it often left them dependent, trapped in strange, feverish dreams. Some families suffered quietly for years, but the cause was rarely blamed on opium. People spoke vaguely of weak nerves or failing health, stepping back into the cool night. The gas lamps hiss softly, and you wonder, if you live, then would you have bought a bottle too? In a restless, noisy, and certain world, almost anyone would have been tempted by something that promised sleep in a single drop. You leave the apothecary behind, the faint trace of opium still lingering in your thoughts, and find yourself at the corner of a quiet Victorian home. A warm glow of candlelight spills from the window, and you're invited inside. On the kitchen table sits a porcelain cup, steam curling gently from its surface. You lean closer, expecting plain milk, but instead you're met with something far stranger. Warm milk sprinkled with black pepper. Yes, you heard that right. Among Victorian household remedies, one particularly popular sleep aid was exactly this: milk heated until soothingly warm, finished with a pinch of pepper. You take a cautious sip at first. The smooth comfort of the milk coats your tongue, but then the sharp sting of pepper follows, making you wonder if you're drinking medicine or an experimental soup. Doctors of the time offered plenty of explanations. Some claimed pepper stimulates digestion and relaxes the stomach. Others argued the spicy bite could disrupt racing thoughts. A few even suggested it was a way of warming the heart. Historians still debate whether any of these ideas had real merit, but in the Victorian household, it was widely accepted as a bedtime remedy. You glance at the milk pot resting above the fireplace and can't help but think this recipe feels more like a prank than a cure. If someone today handed you peppered milk at midnight, the first sip would probably wake you up rather than put you to sleep. But to Victorians, it symbolized gentle self-care. No apothecary needed, no costly treatment, just ingredients already sitting in the kitchen. And, of course, variations existed. Some families stirred nutmeg into the milk, others preferred cinnamon, and a few daring souls even mixed honey with the pepper. You can almost picture these households experimenting at night, swapping spices the way we swap tea bags today. Meanwhile, the medical journals of the time argued back and forth. One physician dismissed the drink as nothing more than placebo. Another insisted pepper's gentle heat soothes frayed nerves. Readers must have reacted the same way we do to modern health blogs, half convinced, half rolling their eyes. On the corner of the table sits a thick household medical manual. Its pages are crowded with remedies: onion soup for coughs, vinegar-soaked radishes for headaches, and right there warm milk with pepper as a loyal companion for the sleepless. You can't help but chuckle. It feels as if Victorians truly believed the kitchen was their pharmacy. As the night deepens, you cradle the peppered milk in your hands. It doesn't instantly lull you into drowsiness, but the warmth spreads through your stomach, leaving a gentle comfort. You begin to realize that perhaps the real magic of this drink wasn't in chemistry at all, it was in ritual. Just as some of us brew tea or cocoa before bed, the point wasn't the ingredients themselves, but the calm they created in the moment. When you finally set the cup down, the firelight flickers softly, and the gas lamps outside hum faintly against the dark. And then it strikes you. This strange little remedy reveals a timeless truth: insomnia has never been only a matter of the body, but also of the mind. When people don't have answers, they'll cling to any method, however odd, as long as it lets them believe they can finally lie down in peace. You set down the strange cup of peppered milk and push open another creaking wooden door, stepping into a bedroom draped in lace and patterned fabric. The air carries a faint fragrance. At first, you assume someone has lit a scented candle, but as you approach, the bed, you discover the truth. Tucked beneath the pillow is an entire pouch of dried lavender. In Victorian times, lavender was one of the most trusted natural aids for sleep. You lean closer, inhaling a scent that is both fresh and slightly sharp, like a garden stirred awake by early morning sunlight. The homeowner smiles and explains, "This was my grandmother's remedy. Lavender calms the mind." The rituals varied. Some people crumbled dried lavender directly into pillowcases. Others sewed neat sachets stuffed to bursting and slipped them under pillows. For the more indulgent, there was lavender water dabbed across the face before bed, or a light spray misting the entire room with its delicate perfume. Doctors, as usual, didn't agree. A few swore the fragrance soothed the nerves and slowed the heartbeat. Others dismissed it as nothing more than suggestion. Historians still debate the truth. Was lavender chemically effective, or did people simply sleep better because they believed in it? You press gently against the lavender-filled pillow, and it feels like cradling a miniature garden. Imagine burying your head in that fragrance night after night. It might indeed drive away the anxieties of the day. For Victorians, sleeplessness wasn't just about the body. It was about the age itself, the relentless hum of factories, the pressure of expanding cities, and the endless competition. In that context, lavender was less of flower and more a kind of gentle armor. Curiously, its uses stretched far beyond sleep. Families tucked lavender into wardrobes to keep moths away, blended it into soap for skin care, and even scattered it at funerals to mask less pleasant odors. In many ways, lavender was to them what air fresheners are to us now, quietly omnipresent. Near the fireplace, you notice a household manual, its pages open to a passage that reads, "For those troubled by wakefulness, take a pinch of lavender flowers and place them beneath the pillow, that sleep may come gently." The phrasing makes you smile. It sounds more like a bedtime story than medical advice. Perhaps what truly mattered wasn't the flower itself, but the sense of tradition, the comfort of repeating what generations had done before. You sink into the bed, the scent curling around your nose. Outside, the wind nudges the curtains, rustling softly, and it strikes you. Maybe the true gift wasn't lavender at all, but the reassurance it carried. When someone tells you, "This will help," sometimes that alone is enough to make you let go and drift off. You step out of the lavender-scented bedroom, your feet creaking on the wooden staircase, only to be led somewhere unexpected. Not the parlor, but a Victorian-style bathhouse. Marble tiles line the walls, steam drifts through the air, and it feels as if someone has just stepped out of the tub. At the doorway hangs a wooden sign that makes you pause. Hot and cold in turn, the path to sleep. In the Victorian imagination, sleep and bathing were deeply intertwined. Medical handbooks advised, hot water soothes the nerves, cold water collects the spirit. In other words, heat relaxes you, while cold restores balance. And so, when the night grew restless, many believed the solution was simple. Soak in warm water first, then plunge immediately into icy cold. To you, it sounds less like medicine and more like a dare from a wellness challenge. You stand at the edge of the bath, steam curling upward, the air thick as if you've wandered into a miniature spa. A few Victorian gentlemen, wrapped in robes, are chatting. Hot water lifts the mood, but it must be finished with cold, or else sleep will not come. Some even wrote, "Only through alternation of hot and cold can the nerves find true calm." Historians still debate whether there was real science behind this or whether it was simply a matter of belief. What's curious is how differently the practice was embraced by social classes. The wealthy made pilgrimages to spa town, such as Bath, where they mingled socially under the pretense of health. Working families, on the other hand, simply filled one tub with hot water, hauled in another with well water, and performed their alternation with more sweat than elegance. Picture it, trudging back and forth with buckets in the middle of the night. The process alone might wear you out enough to sleep. Some households took the ritual even further, turning baths into experiments. Rose petals in hot water, said to comfort the spirit. A pinch of salt in cold water, meant to tighten the skin. A splash of vinegar, believed to purify the body. You can't help but smile. It sounds more like a menu at a modern spa than a medical prescription. But not everyone was convinced. Certain doctors wrote in newspapers warning excessive cold bathing may damage health. Others countered brief cold shocks hasten sleep. The argument feels familiar, almost like today's debates over ice baths versus saunas. Half the experts call it a miracle, the other half call it torture. You glance around the bathhouse and notice towels embroidered with a family crest folded neatly in the corner. It hit you then. This was more than a cure, it was a ritual of status. To have the means for both hot and cold water was a privilege, even a luxury. You dip your hand into the pool, the hot side reddens your skin, while the cold side makes you shiver instantly. And you can't resist a modern thought. If someone today suggested, when you can't sleep, take a hot bath and then jump into ice water, most of us would reply, forget it, I'll just keep scrolling my phone. Yet for Victorians, this alternation was a kind of science, or at least the appearance of science. Whether it truly worked or not, it offered reassurance. You had done something deliberate, something purposeful, and sometimes that alone was enough to make you lie down, close your eyes, and believe in the promise of rest. You step out of the bathhouse, your body still carrying the memory of warmth and chill, and walk down a quiet hallway where, in the corner, a wooden rocking chair waits. It stands silently, polished by years of use, its carved backrest glowing faintly in the lamplight. The homeowner gestures with a smile. Go on, sit for a while, you'll see why this is our favorite way to drift into sleep. You lower yourself carefully, and the chair immediately begins its gentle sway. Back and forth. Back and forth. The motion is soft, like a cradle without words. Victorians adored this practice. They even had a name for it. The cradle for grown-ups, many health manuals of the time suggested. The rhythm of rocking soothes the nerves and carries one into slumber. You can't help but think of a baby's crib being gently pushed, as if humans were born to crave this very rhythm. Some doctors enthusiastically endorsed rocking chairs, writing in newspapers that they melt away restless thoughts. Others disagreed, warning that too much rocking might cause dizziness or nausea. Historians still argue about it today. Was the rocking truly physiological or just psychological comfort dressed up as medicine? Whatever the science, the people themselves were clearly convinced. In one corner of the room, a pile of heavy books rests. Religious texts, encyclopedias, even poetry collections. Many Victorians liked to sit in their chairs and read until their eyelids grew heavy, the book slipping from their fingers mid-paragraph. Imagine someone rocking slowly, cradling a thick Bible, and dozing off halfway through. It's little funny, isn't it? But the rocking chair carried more than function. It was a statement of lifestyle. For wealthy households, an ornate rocker by the balcony or fireplace symbolized leisure and refinement. For working-class families, the chair might be plain, rough-hewn from simple planks, but it offered the same comfort. A quiet moment of peace before sleep. And, as always, there were embellishments. Some families placed a warm stone beneath the chairs so the sitter could enjoy gentle heat. Others hung small sachets of dried herbs on the armrests, hoping the fragrance would aid sleep. Ambitious craftsmen even designed musical rockers with hidden mechanisms that played simple melodies. As the chair swayed, you settle into the creaking rhythm, feeling how the lamp's glow shifts along the walls in time with your motion. The entire room seems to slow, the night stretching like soft fabric. And then it becomes clear. The rocking chair's real power wasn't to force sleep, but to signal it. The rhythm told your body, in a language older than words, it's time to rest. Outside, the wind taps gently against the window, rocking back and forth. You suddenly realize something. Perhaps we never truly outgrow the cradle. Whether as infants in a bassinet or Victorians in their rocking chairs, people have always longed to be carried gently into dreams.